Saltburn has proven to be one of the most talked about and rewatched movies of 2023 and has continued to fascinate audiences into the new year. Saltburn is rich with hidden literary and historical references, exceptional acting from a picture-perfect cast, and, most notably, carries some of the most shocking cinematic scenes in recent memory. That being said, there are still quite a few plot holes and head-scratchers that arguably prevent the breakout hit from becoming a serious contender during the 2024 awards season. While the hidden details and references in Saltburn are seemingly endless, they do well to distract from some clear timeline plot holes and subtle moments that arguably don't add up. Farleigh never returns to Saltburn after Catton family deaths. One of the biggest plot holes in Saltburn is the complete removal of Farleigh from the Catton family tree following Felix's death. While it's clear that Ollie successfully frames Farleigh for supplying the drugs that Felix ultimately overdosed on, it's surprising that after all that time Farleigh wouldn't have tried to save face with James or Elspeth. He even tells Ollie on the night of Felix's death that he always finds a way to come back to Saltburn. It seems more than likely that Farleigh would have tried to reinsert himself with the Cattons at some point or, at the very least, as soon as he heard of Ollie's inheritance. Ollie pulling the intubation tube out of Elspeth is incriminating. Ollie kills Elspeth by dramatically pulling the intubation tube out of her body, forcing her to choke and perish. A major plot hole in this scenario is how Ollie got away with doing that with the presumed highly intelligent doctors that Elspeth likely would have hired. What could Ollie's excuse possibly have been for yanking the yard-length tube out of Elspeth that would be believable to any rational person? Ollie might have tried to reinsert the tube once Elspeth was dead, but it would theoretically raise a lot of suspicion about how Elspeth actually died. Lack of police investigations into Felix and Venetia's deaths. Saltburn makes the point of James and Elspeth's denial to face the truth of Felix's death, particularly because they believe it was an accidental overdose. They likely jump right back into their typical daily affairs to avoid confronting the shame they had of their son Odin, more concerned about what that news would mean for their public image than they cared about discovering the truth about Felix's death. The same goes for Venetia, whose death all frames as a suicide. However, it's hard to imagine that James and Elspeth would have been so in denial as to not have allowed police involvement, or that the police would not have investigated further the back-to-back deaths of a famous family's heirs. Elspeth claims she was friends with 90 Seconds Britpop bands as a mother. Following Farleigh's first exit from Saltburn, James and Elspeth join the kids by the pool as Elspeth reminisces on her party days with famous 90 Seconds Britpop bands such as Blur and Oasis back when she was a model. While this certainly could have taken place, the timing of Elspeth's claimed ordeal with these bands means that Felix and Venetia would have both been young children, and that Elspeth would have been a new mother. Based on her age and the timing of her children's births, it'd be more likely that she had gone to these parties during the 1980s. James and Felix are watching Superbad when Ollie arrives at Saltburn. One notable timeline hiccup in Saltburn is when James and Felix are watching Superbad in the Saltburn library ahead of its theatrical release. The scene takes place in May or June of 2007, while Superbad wasn't released until September of that year in the UK, with the DVD first becoming available in December. Has addressed this apparent error, saying that Elspeth had been friends with someone at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences who gave her an advanced screener of the celebrated comedy film. Nobody else attempts to claim Saltburn after Elspeth's death. The most shocking detail in Ollie's acquisition of Saltburn, outside of his 3 Catton family murders, is the fact that nobody protests Ollie's inheritance or makes a claim to Saltburn following Elspeth's death. For a family with such a rich history and extreme wealth, the world of the Catton family must be incredibly insular if Ollie, who is still pretty much a stranger to Elspeth, is the first person she thinks of to write over her entire estate to. How could Elspeth not have dozens, if not hundreds, of other people, family members, and friends that she had known her whole life who could be considered to inherit Saltburn? Ollie caused Elspeth to fall into a coma, but how? Another Saltburn head-scratcher pertains to how Elspeth fell terminally ill and became comatose. It's more than likely that Ollie was behind it somehow, but to pull off such an operation only to have it not be explained in the movie feels somewhat forced and unearned. It's not surprising that Ollie kills Elspeth once she writes over her entire estate to him, but the fact that he gets away with it without police intervention, disputes from Farleigh, or rival claims to Saltburn from various friends and family feels far-fetched by the story's end.